Yo, yo, what it do, y'all? Pro Foundation, we back. I'm back. Missed last week, but the brothers held it down for me. Um, it's always one of those things, and shout out to the brothers that joined last week. I didn't get to join with them, but I hear it was like you said, I've been working a lot, so I haven't got a chance to really check it out yet, but I'm gonna definitely take the time and check out the that episode because I heard good things about it. So here with the brother Hen Hen. How you living, brother?
Oh, Mickey the man, I cannot complain. I cannot complain about yourself.
Yeah, like you said, man, life is good, man. You know what I mean? Like life is good, all praise to the most high. That's all that's really what I like to say, man. Just giving thanks as we was just kind of chopping it up. But yeah, man, the grind never stops. I don't like missing if I don't have to, but as we always kind of discuss that, life, takes precedent over, extracurricular things right now, but until it doesn't, we got to do what we do. You know what I mean? Got to make sure the bills is paid and um, got to have a roof over your head and all that. So, it's one of them things, man. Got to keep it moving. But our brother Jesse's going to join us later and possibly Complex Key. He's out of the country right now, but well, actually he's back in country, but he might be in an area where he might not be able to join us. But you know, um, Jay Hunter should be joining us a little bit later. But in the meantime, between time, in the screen time, we gonna get it. We gonna get it going, and whichever brothers can join us later, we gonna welcome them in. Um, so this week we just gonna jump right into it. No delaying. This week we're gonna talk about staying the course, right? I've recently seen some things online that I thought like that would be a good topic for us. Like I've seen a couple things that one thing a lady was saying how men will stay in a situation um when way past their with what they should be staying. You know what I mean? Like it might be might be a relationship, might be a job. She was referring to a relationship. Um, just kind of speaking how most men will stick it out, will stay around even though it might not be something that they should continue in. Um, and then when you think about when it comes to a job aspect, just staying the course in general, you know, um, it's it's one of those things that yeah, we as men, if we say we're going to do something, we like this, we going to see it through. Like I think that just speaking from a man's perspective, I think it's important to make sure that you stay the course on things. It's also important to know when it's time to cut those ties as well. So we're gonna get into it, and just kind of just discuss that in and of itself, uh, what it means, and how important it is to not give up. But also, like I said, knowing when to say, hey, you know what, it's time to cut those ties. So it's a double-edged sword in there as well. But we just gonna talk about it all. So when it comes to staying the course, Henry, what does that mean to you, and why is it important? And yeah,
It's extremely important on so many different levels, but firstly, I speak, just on my level. My definition of it is staying the course is, whatever I tell somebody that I'm gonna do, my intention is to complete that. If I don't, if I fall short, it's not gonna be because I just up and quit. Because whatever obstacles I came upon just hindered me from doing it. It could very well just hinder me from doing it in the time frame that I said I was going to do it. But if I'm granted grace, it's still my need to complete that. Because many times with other conversations we've had, and like be careful of the negativity that you speak, because even though you're speaking it out loud, your mind doesn't necessarily know the difference. I feel it's kind of the same thing if you said that you were going to do something, or you set out a goal or a task or something that you tried to complete, and then you up and quit, that kind of sets a chain of events where you have to rationalize that in your mind, because you can lie to everybody else. I couldn't do it because it was raining that day, or my knee hurt, or whatever excuse you come up with. But you can't tell them same lie to yourself. In your heart of heart, like, well, I can't do it. You know that you didn't give it the effort. You know that you just threw in the towel. It got too tough. Something else was coming on TV. You had something else better that came along, or more interesting to come out. Whatever the excuse is, that's just what you concoct up in your mind to try to justify you stopping short of the goal that you set. So the other side of that is when you set out a goal, a task, whatever it is that you're trying to get to, and you actually achieve that, there's a little small part of you, dare I say, is almost subconsciously you building this confidence in yourself. Because with every task that you set out to do and you complete that, it just adds more and more blocks to this building up this character. It's like, you know what? I'm a man of my word. Whatever I say I'm going to do is exactly what I do. I got this track record, not that anybody else may know. Collectively, everybody else may know of it, but you know of it. Everything that you've done, everything that you set out to do, everything that you said you were going to do, you've completed that task. So anything that comes within your ballpark and you say you're going to do it, you attack it with a different type of veracity, because you have this history of completion that you can put on any and everything it is. And in your mind, you're like, whatever I set my mind to, I can do and I will do. So when you apply that to whatever it is, marathon, your weight loss goal, your financial being, your education, or whatever it is, it's already built up that whatever it is I say I'm gonna do, I can get that. And that's just to have that thought in the back of your mind that whatever it is I can set to do, I'm gonna complete that. That sets you free for everything else in front of you. Because whatever it is in front of you, you've conquered so much else. How can this be a hurdle? How can this stop? And that, I just don't see how you can, how you can defeat a person with that type of mentality.
Yeah, facts, man. It's kind of like what you said, right? Your word should be your bond, right? So like if you say you're gonna do something, put everything into it and making sure that it gets done, because you spoke it. Not for anybody else's sake, like you said, not for nobody else's sake, but for your sake, to make sure that you are honoring what you said. And even if it's just a promise to yourself, like, I mean, yeah, of course we set out to do things for other people. Like if we, say, hey, yeah, I'll be there to pick you up. Then that's just a small thing. You know what I mean? Like, so staying the course, it's it's just like you said, it's like it's basically sorry. So it's just like, if you say you're gonna do something, it's like I remember when I was it was like my first year playing football. My mom, she told me, like she's like, okay, you're gonna play this year, you're gonna play the whole year. After that, it's up, if you don't want to play no more, it's all good. But I liked playing football, right? So I played that whole year, and then I decided to play the next year. And it's one of those things, it's like she told me, she's like, now if you decide to play this year, you're gonna play the whole year, you're not gonna quit, And so it's just one of those things that, like, I made the promise to myself, like, yeah, I said I want to play this year, I'm gonna play the whole year, I'm gonna play it out completely, so it's just one of those things, it's important to, because like what you said, it's a matter of establishing that confidence, building up that confidence. Once you do one thing, and you complete that task, that's going to give you some momentum. That's going to give you some I like the word inertia, because it's going to get you going. It's going to keep you in that motion, right? And so you do another thing, and then you look back on, okay, yeah, I said I did the last thing and I completed it. There should be no excuse or no reason for you not to complete this next thing, because you have a history of completing the task, you know. So anytime you set a goal, and it's a huge part of it's something that, giving your word, when you give your word on something, when you say you're going to do something and you give your word on that, like, that's, you don't want to have the reputation of, oh, this dude, he said he was going to do this, but he didn't end up doing it. That's one of my favorite things from Scarface. He's like, all I got in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for nobody. you know. And so it's important to make sure that whatever you set out to do, that you actually complete it. Now, that's been some things that throughout the course of my life, I've had to, there's been a couple things that I sit back and think, like, man, did you stay the course? Did you give it everything that you had? And namely, I mean, just to keep it a buck, I think about my marriage a lot of times, because I was only married for a short period of time, but sometimes that gets to me, the fact that I question myself sometimes, like, man, did you stick it out? Did you really stay the course? I mean, it was a rough patch, and you know, as much as I look back, and I can also say that the person that I am, when I when we split up, like, the things that happened for me can kind of validate why I did that, why what I mean, why we end up splitting up. And but there's also some things where it's like, man, you might have gave up too soon. You probably could have worked it out. You probably could have, stuck it out a little bit, because marriage is not a it's not just something that you play with, right? That's not something that you just because you got a bad spell, that's a commitment, right? And so I look at that all the time in myself, and think, like, man, you probably could have stuck it in there a little bit longer, but at that at the same time, you got to know when, like I said, when to cut those ties, because my soul was being dug into. I was completely it was just, I could see the road it was going down, right? And so it was like one of those situations where I felt like I had to cut ties, because I seen where it was going. It was a constant, like, it was a reoccurring theme, and I'm honestly proud for me sticking out as long as I did, because the things that ended up happening throughout the relationship was like, are you serious right now? You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, okay, you're married, man. You can't just let this, you gotta let that slide. But how much are you willing to let slide until you look up, and then the next thing you know, you an empty shell of a man. Was I willing to go through that for the next 10, 15, 20 years of my life? I couldn't say that I was. So it was one of those things that, I felt like I had to cut ties. So it's a double-edged sword, man. Like, it's something with me that I know, as I look back and as I continue to look forward, that I will definitely make sure that whatever situation, if I get into a situation like that again, that, okay, you see what you, like I said, you see what you did in the past. You can't do that again. if you get into a situation again where like if you get married or get into a relationship that's you see that it's worth it, you gotta stay the course and be willing to fight through that battle. Because there's going to be ups and downs. Every relationship is going to have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. So it's important to just stick it out, man. So um, yeah, it can be tough, but you got to do it because giving up shouldn't be an option in certain things, right?
I agree wholeheartedly. Um, I'm people that fascinate me and I admire are those couples that get married early, like fresh out of high school, and here it is 30, 40 years later, they still kicking it. Man, you know how damn rare that is? That
Yeah,
at that early of an age, you meet somebody and I'm 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 sorry, I just can't see. And granted, you got some kids that's graduating from college and they should be at high school. That's a whole different level of smart. But smart doesn't necessarily equate to mature.
hmm
Mature enough to decide, you know what, I'm done with the world. This is my person. This is who I picked to spend the rest of my life with. And to meet somebody that can reciprocate the same damn thing, dude, that I think you find a herd of unicorn before you could. I mean, that's just so damn rare for
hmm
people. I mean, just fresh out of high school, they don't know anything about living, by themselves. Mom and dad took care of them up to a year ago on both sides, and now the dude he's pledging to, whatever it comes, I'm ready for it, and they truck it on off into the sunset.
Yeah,
That is extremely rare. In all honesty, what's more likely to happen is those of us who got married earlier, we learned some lessons. We
right,
went through some things. And most time enough, we learn timing. All honesty, and that this can, roll off into a whole separate conversation. But I will say this: the conversation that women have with younger girls, as far as and maybe not even so much have it with them, but have it around them. So it's always embedded in them. A man ain't crap. They gonna do this. They gonna do that. Whatever, 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 whatever. Most girls from a young age subconsciously hear this until they get old enough and aunties and whoever can talk, and then they hear just whatever. And even if they're not part of the conversation, they hear this. So when things go south in a relationship, they just chalk it up to the game. The men are just gonna be men.
Mhm.
I can't speak for every man, but I can say I don't think I got that type of that side of the conversation as far as men concerned. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, men don't have that type of conversation. You might deal with it out in the streets, but when you get ready to settle down, you find you a good one, you settle down, and that's it. So when things go south, I feel we kind of get broadsided from it because we need the hell we ain't know nothing
right,
about this. We
right.
ain't know this can happen. So I say all that to say is some cases you might have pulled the trigger and jumped off the boat too soon. In some cases, you might have stayed on it until it was well underwater. So in that particular instance, we learn timing. We learn to recognize where, we heading down, down a bad road to get off. And in that sense of it, I guess to kind of bring back a little bit of the conversation from last week, as far as critical thinking,
Critical
you have to
thinking.
be able to analyze everything that's going on. You have to make almost snap judgments off of evidence that you have around you at that particular time. And in that case, staying the course might not be beneficial to you.
Right.
It might be, beneficial to your morale, but what's your morale gonna be worth when you getting drugged?
Mm-hmm.
Not anything. So you got to have that kind of mindset of being able to analyze, okay, is this something I need to stay the course in?
Right.
Anything that is beneficial to you, to your longevity, because sometimes you can't look at the immediate goals, and I guess the little wins build up to the bigger prize
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the race. But in some cases, you're gonna have to lose a few of them to maintain that course if that's what actually is required. But it's not required in every instance.
Right.
There's some cases where, yeah, you need to throw a towel in, and you need to throw it in quick. So being
Get
able to
out quick.
recognize win, lose, or draw is probably the best the best tool that you can have in that particular toolbox. Being able to understand, if you need to stay the course, then figuring out a plan as how to stay that course. If this ain't a ride that you really want to be on, then you need to be able to figure out what's your line in the sand, and then your exit plan thereafter.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's just kind of going back to what you said about people who be in relationships like fresh out of high school, and man, like I know a few people. I know a few, but I got a real close friend that he's with his wife, and they've been together since high school, right? And they might have had their situation, every couple does, right? Every couple does have, their own issues. I don't know, but at the same time, the fact that they've been able to stay the course, and it's going on, what, 25, 30 years later, right? Like that's amazing, man. Like, and the thing about it is, you know, you look at that and you might be like, man, I wish I had that, but a lot of times it stems from you not seeing it. Like if you don't have anybody in your life, like especially in your family, so to speak, if nobody in your family, if you don't see your mom or your grandparents or somebody like that having the longevity of a relationship like that, you're not gonna know you're not gonna know how to do it, right? You're not gonna know. Like if you see an example, especially when it comes down to like your mom and your dad,
Mhm.
if you see that and they have a lasting relationship, and it's staying the course, and do do thick and thin and thin and thick, and they sticking it out. That's subconsciously is helping you be able to achieve that when you get into a relationship, because you see your parents, they might have issues, but you're seeing them work it out, and you see them still loving each other, you know. So it's important to see that, right? That's why a lot of us in the inner city and in black homes, like that's why we a lot of us come from broken homes. A lot of us don't see, and it goes back to what we were talking about. We talked about before, as far as like, um, women aren't here come the man himself. Women aren't programmed to be wives. They're programmed to be mothers, right? What's up, brother? Welcome to the convo.
What's good? What's good, brother? What's
You know,
good?
we just diving right in, man. We just diving right in, bro. But yeah, we just talking about, just like we staying the course, right? Not giving up, and the importance of it. And then I was just kind of just we both kind of just talked about how, when you see people who have been in relationships from the time that they've been in high school, and they, it's 20, 30 plus years later, it's like, man, how do you do that? How do you achieve that? Right. And I was just kind of going, talking about how you have to see that, right? You have to have a model. You don't have to per se, but if without having a model, it's going to be difficult. Without having somebody like your parents, your grandparents showing you how to do that, you yourself, like if you come from a toxic, if you see your parents in a toxic relationship, like I remember, for instance, my mom when she got married, um, and it's messed up, but it should have triggered me to want to maybe stay the course, and I was just talking about how like I didn't stay the course in my marriage, my first marriage, but if I would have stayed any longer, I would have been an empty shell of a man, right? But just kind of going back to when my mom got married, she her husband um relapsed, and she stayed down. She held the home down. She stayed the course, right? She made sure that she was there and brought him back up, and boom. But when she relapsed, he fell apart and relapsed with her, right with her, and then they both fell, right? And so that just really put a bad taste in my mouth. Like, man, how could you do that? She stuck around for you. You know what I mean? Like when you fell off, she stayed strong and didn't fall off. And but when she ended up, relapsing a little bit, she needed your strength. You was weak, and say, oh yeah, boom, we going right back into the drugs, into the bad life. And that was like, what kind of man are you? Right. And so, like I said, so when you don't see that strong relationship, when you don't see that structure of relationship that lasts 5, 10, 20, 25 years, it's going to be difficult for you to have that type of relationship in your life, man. So that's just kind of where we were. So yeah, we just, how about you, want you to just tap in on your kind of your perspective on, staying
Yeah,
the course and
that's exactly where I was gonna bring this to, man, because my parents they did the 25 years together, and then they split, once me and my sister got older. Um and for various reasons, man, but I learned through the whole ordeal the importance of when you find your mate or you find your significant other, you have to be sure. You feel me? You have to be sure. You have to understand that things gonna happen, but but whenever you process the long haul, when you think about marriage, you're thinking about till you die. We together. It could be either a hellish ride or it could be a good ride. With bumps along the way, but that's okay. That's speed bumps that you could put down there and kind of slow it down a little bit. You know what I mean? But like understanding the long haul, man, it's like processing things in your mind of like that's a long time when people think about that. And whenever I looked at my parents' marriage, it instantly put something in me like I don't want to get married. I don't ever want to get married.
Mhm.
Look at what this does, and how can you stick with this person, if you are miserable, through the whole ordeal, So that's whenever you have to be real with yourself and say, hey, look, this is not for me,
Right.
and you have to do that, so y'all both don't spend all of this time trying to figure out, is it meant for y'all to be together? And that's so, but if it is on the other end that y'all are together and this is what gonna work out, that's when you able to process, hey, I could be with this person for the long haul. I can tolerate with this person, because like my dad always taught me, he was like, when dealing with the other opposite sex, you got to understand, if it's everybody gonna come with baggage, right? So you're gonna come with baggage, I'm gonna come with baggage, but it's all about what you can handle. What can you handle with the baggage? It's all about, okay, is it too heavy? Or is this suitcase a little too light? Or is it too heavy? So you have to determine that and be able to understand what you can process and what you can go through and what you can deal with. So only you can answer that, right? So stopping, you can you can kind of eliminate a lot of your pressures, your stress, your anxieties, your depressions, anything that you go through inside of a relationship. uh you in control of that, because you can understand, like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm not going to tolerate. This is what I will tolerate, and this is what we can work on. Maybe that person, like I was a work in progress, when me and my wife got together. So I was a work in progress. She thought I was a broken man, right? I just came out of divorce. I had all this stuff going on. I was homeless for a little period of time. So I'm trying to process a lot of things at the time. With her, she has to come step in and be like, okay, I see that he's a good guy. He got all this going on, but can I deal with that? Can I deal with his baggage? Can I go and be able to say I do with all of this? And I can see the progress because that person making step towards the progress. And that's different too. You can, but you have to be the one to determine that. And I thank God she was able to look at those good qualities inside of me to be able to stick with me through it. So now I'm a whole changed man with a whole different perspective on everything that I deal with. So I this conversation is very vital, man, because it all comes down to decision making, and that's why I told my mom, man, a few months back, she was just like, man, you mean your dad this and me and your dad that, and I was like, well, mom, you got to understand, it just didn't work. That wasn't your person, but y'all went through it and made, two beautiful kids, but at the same time, the relationship part, it withered away because it just wasn't meant for you two to be together. You know what I mean? So, and y'all have to realize and process that and be like, okay, you know what? This didn't work. Maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe I didn't do my, homework, or maybe I just accepted for things for what they were, thought they was going to change. But we all have, like, the clock of life is steady ticking, man. It's steady ticking. And you have to make these decisions that's going to be effective to you. And not only you, is the people that's connected to you as well. So every single move is vital, especially whenever you become a grown adult. Every single thing is vital. That move is vital. So staying the course is something that you have to process yourself and understand, like, hey, I'm in it. It's not the end. It don't have to be the end, but we can make this thing beautiful if we decide to work together, and you do the necessary changes, I do the necessary changes. We can make this thing a great thing. It don't have to always be negative, but just understanding your position in life and where you are, that's going to be what's determined your outcome, right? So just meditate on that, man, and think about it, man. Just process the whole situation, because just like what I told my mom, I said, man, I learned off of you and my dad what not to do, and it's not a bad thing. Like I said, y'all birthed two beautiful children out of the whole ordeal, but at the end of the day, it didn't work, and y'all have to be mature enough to be like, oh, screw that person, I don't want to talk to them no more. Man, we got kids together. We got to kind of like put this, like, hey, bro, it's okay, it didn't work out. Let's just co-parent. Let's get this thing done, and like make sure we set good examples in front of these kids so they don't make the same mistakes that we did. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that I feel that we all have to sit down and just, like, whenever someone comes into your life or anything, that's it don't even have to be someone, anything that comes to your life, you have to question it. You have to see what is it here for? What is your motive? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And how long I'm going to put up with this? How long I'm going to stick around? How long I'm going to, play along with it? Like, but you don't have that kind of time, man. We all getting older. Like I said, that clock is still ticking every day, every minute. So yeah.
Go ahead, man.
You're absolutely correct, and I've heard kind of the same sentiments echoed thus far since we've been on the call. Man, predominantly we've been talking, I guess, towards relationship and marriage, and that's, I guess, overarching. That's the main thing. You gotta you got to be able to, kind of really look at the situation and see if, this is meant for longevity. And you're not going to be able to see that person again, fresh out of high school, seeing this person as seeing a, we got this for the next 56 years, you my person, I'm yours. So they don't see that. They just making, a choice, a commitment. Us who've gone through, divorce, and, for you and I, Jesse, whoever remarried, and, tires some point in time, you may look to do so as well. You just have a different focus of the person. And I've always said the exact same things you echoed earlier. Well, not echoed. I guess I'm echo what you said earlier, Jesse, about, with the person you now have a level of experience of what you willing to go for, what you're not willing to go for, what you're going to tolerate and not. And the in between is that gray area we have to figure out. And I guess as long as we kind of ride that gray area, we stay in, not the upper limit and not the lower limit. We kind of ride the median. And in that, what we're trying to do is make a life as we try to learn each other, and once we get to that point of actually, getting married, you're trying to stay committed to a promise that you made to a person at times where you can't even stand the sight of them. But that's the staying of the course, because they haven't, did anything to, raise your antenna as far as this is going to be a problem. I can't do this. On either end of the spectrum, you're riding in the middle. And in the meantime of riding in the middle, you're both trying to learn to live with one another, build a life with one another, depend on one another. That's work. But that work requires that level of trust that as I'm going to be here for you, I need you to be here for me. That's the only way I'm going to be able to, go the distance with this, ride the wave to whatever end it's going to be, whether we, ride off into the sunset or we crash into the mountain. As long as we in this groove right here, I'm with you every step of the way. And in that, yeah, you give it your 100%. You can't show up with the, 50-50 type relationship with that, because it's going to require give and take. Some days you not going to be able to give that 100%, but the fact that you're trying to give it is going to subsidize whatever you're lacking, as well as, at that particular time, what she's giving should be able to supplement your lacking at that time, because it's going to be reciprocated. At some point in time, she ain't going to be able to give that 100% that you're looking for, but you got whatever she's lacking. And it's just that to and fro. As long as y'all, as they say, keep between the ditches, then yeah, you can stay at that course. You can ride that out, because she's giving it her 100, you giving her your 100. And at that point in time, it's going to be very few obstacles that can stop you. Because as long as y'all in tune with each other, as long as y'all walking that walk with each other, nothing else should be able to interfere with that. Your proverbial eyes in the back of your head, looking over your shoulder, whatever it may be. That's what she is to you, and that's what you should be to her. And in that light, I don't see where anything can stop you. You can run the course of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish together. But as long as y'all together, then you can be fine one way or the other, whether you're able to meet it at that deadline that you set, or if it takes longer, whatever it may be, y'all will be happy. But again, you got to be able to see that the person that you riding for is able and willing to ride the same way for you. And if not, there's nothing wrong with tossing the towel on that.
Man, that's real. It's funny though, right? Like they say that first marriage is almost like a trial, right? Like that first one is one that, it don't, they say that one don't even count. You know what I mean? Like you was just kind of, getting your feet under you. You was just, figuring out. So it's almost like that first one, and then so the fact that and that's just kind of speaking to the fact that both of you guys have remarried, right? And you feel like you probably feel like you're more on point with your current wife. I mean, like from the experience that you had first, to where you are now in your current relationship. Like you probably, just speaking from what I can tell, like you probably feel like you're more on point. This is because you both have. I don't know if you if your women have, respective ladies have been married before, but if they have, they probably are on that. That puts you more on the same page because you don't want to go through that again. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to experience what you've experienced before, you know? And so it's like you're in a sense, you're willing to fight for it more because you don't want to ever be back in that situation, right? Um, and that's what it comes down to. It's like you said, man, like making sure that you're both on eye to eye, making sure that you're both doing what it takes to make sure that the relationship works and the relationship lasts. That's very vital. That's highly important. And more so, and when we say stay in the course, yeah, we're talking about relationships right now, but it could be even when it could, like I spoke. This is when I just thinking about it. I actually did a daily true on this a couple few weeks ago when I celebrated my 2 years at my current job. Right, like the first 6 9 months of me of this current job was hell. And they tell you that, like they let you know up top, and that's one thing I can respect about this company, like the people that I've talked to. They tell you like, look, man, that first 6 months to a year is gonna be rough. It really is. But if you can stick it out past that, you should be all right, and you can find your groove. And you hear that, you're like, yeah, you might be, it might be, but when you in the middle of it, it's like, man, what am I doing? What have I done? I don't. And honestly, there was a couple times when I was looking to get another gig, another job, and it never panned out. And you'd be frustrated, like, man, why didn't this pan out? Like I'm ready to get up out of here, But when I first started this job, I told myself I'd give it a year. I said I'm gonna give it a year. This is before I talk to anybody. I said I'm gonna give this a year and see how it goes. And yeah, that first year was tough. It really was. But next thing I know, I'm at 2 years now. And like I said, it took me a year to really find my groove. But this past year, I found my groove, and I'm in it. And it's like, yo, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. You know what I mean? Just because it got rough, I didn't have to give. I didn't mean I had to give up on it. You know what I'm saying? I just had to get over that hump, that rough patch, find my groove, find my niche, figure out how to work it best for me, and boom, I'm doing it. And like I said, I'm not sure how long I see myself, but I'm not saying I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna quit anytime soon or look for something different anytime soon because I figured, like we talked about it before. You're not your job, right? Like we are more than our places of employment. So this might not be my ideal, what I want to quote unquote do for the rest of my life or my dream job, but it's affording me a great life. It's affording me things that I've never been able to do before. I'm at a place where I've never been before when it comes to financially. And the fact that I'm staying the course is it's attributed to that. Like nobody, just like you don't want to, you shouldn't be jumping from relationship to relationship. You shouldn't be jumping from job to job to job either. You know, find something that you do and you do well, and stick it out because, like we've all said before, nobody forced you to do this. Nobody, whatever job that you're doing right now, nobody forced you to do that. You chose that position that you have. Just like whatever relationship that you might be in, nobody forced you to be in that relationship. You chose that relationship. Until the foreseeable future until, like, say something is just one of those situations where you're like, you know what, I refused to live like this. Then stick it out. Stay the course. Do everything that you can to make sure that you put your best forward. And it's really all about it's about the mentality. It's about having that mindset of I'm great. That it's about gratitude.
Right.
Being grateful for what you have, and knowing that it could definitely be a lot worse, but just appreciating what you have going on, whatever job, relationship, whatever, anything. Those are typically the two things, right? That's typically the two things. When you think about staying the course, it's you either talk, like we said, man, you either talking about a relationship or you're talking about a job.
Yeah.
Like, there's not too much else. You might have, or if it's a vehicle, you know what I mean? Like, if it's getting you from point A to point B, you know, if it break down, or you don't want to break it down, because I mean, if it break it down, then what are you doing it for? Like,
Yeah.
there is going to come to a point, but the main things are that job and that relationship. So you stick those out. You find something that you enjoy doing. You find a relationship that it's not ever going to be 100% all positive, all great. That's not life. Life ain't ever going to be all 100%, because if it was, you wouldn't appreciate it. You wouldn't appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be those situations, those times when, yeah, your spouse might get on your nerve, but as long as it ain't 40-60, when she, what I mean, as long as it ain't 50-50, as long as it's 80-20 or 90-10, whatever, as long as the scales tip on the good side, that's what's most important. Same with the job. As long as it ain't always bad, stick it out. Right? Like,
Yeah.
because you could be back out there on the hunt, looking for what you got right now, but say trying to tweak some things, or you could just say, you know what, this is what I have right now. How can I make it work for me until something better? Not that you're looking for something better or whatever. You're not out, because that's where you lose too, thinking the grass is greener type thing. You know, if you got something great right now, you got to ride that thing till the wheels fall.
Yes, sir.
Till them nuts and bolts just buckle, and the tread on them tires. I mean, even with the tread on, let them tires go. We're gonna ride on this metal for a minute. Whatever it got to be. But if you know what you got is good,
That's it.
that's it, man. Like, you just got to keep on pushing, keep on moving. I got a question though. So, like, just like I kind of mentioned earlier to Hen, I think he was on with us. Yes, I'm not sure yet, but the fact that I kind of do feel like I might have um, gave up a little too early on when it came. I don't want to say when it came to. Sometimes I feel like I might have stepped away from my marriage too soon, right? Um, Now, this don't got to be about your marriage or whatever, but, like, do you feel like there's ever been a time when you might have, let's say, if it was a job or something, or that you might have said, you know what, that you might have walked away too soon?
Absolutely. Um, when you was talking earlier, man, I wanted to put this out here when you said that first marriage was like a trial, right? And I wish that it was like the apps that we got right now. It's a 3-day to 7-day trial period, and you can cancel at any time you feel like it. but 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 you know,
before they hit
but
your
the,
card for that
yeah.
first
I
year.
had to get that out. I had to get that out the way. Let me jump into it though. But but just like what you were saying, man, the key points that you were saying, just like the job you're at right now, like you pushing yourself to that part where it's like, okay, this is what I planted in my mind. This I wanted to be here for a year. That was your goal, right? Like to see, let me try it out for a year and all this. So that's the same with marriage. Whenever I go through little thoughts and stuff every now and then, like, when my wife be tripping sometimes, I'm like, oh man, but at the end of the day, what I realized and why you was talking, bro, it came to my mind that it's all about emotions, bro. If you could just get a hold of your emotions, get a grip of how you feel, and kind of like, hey, man, whenever you feel that negative energy coming, switch it, man. Like, nah, man, I'm gonna keep pushing because I know what I know what the goal is. I know what I want to do. I know what I said in front of the judge and telling this woman I do, or the preacher, or whoever you do it in front of. You have to remember those days, like, okay, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be, she's not gonna understand what I'm talking about, my vision or this or that. So I have to explain to her and be patient and understand and be more kind. And I learned a lot through my last marriage. I know I blowed it up just a while ago, but I learned a lot. I learned that I can be a provider. I learned that I could be a protector. I learned that I could be a spiritual guide. I learned that I can be the man in front of my people, and it was like I was really like blessed by that because I was like, dang man, I ain't think that I had those qualities, right? So once you understand that, because I saw how my dad did it and it was all about arguing and all that. I was like, man, I want to do the opposite from that, So to answer your question, there are times where you're human, bro, so you're gonna feel different emotions, and that's why I said if you could just over counter that emotion and just switch that thought into like the positive part of it, you can deal with it a lot better, what I'm saying? So that's what I've been doing lately and previously from my last marriage, because I was like, man, because I know me, i get I get tired fast. Like I get overwhelmed, and I'm so used to seeing my dad and everybody run from situations like that. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So you can't operate like that. Is you have to have these kind of person, bro. If you feeling some type of way, man, tell the other person how you feel, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair to have this person walking around thinking like y'all all in love and all this other stuff, and you feeling some type of way, you feeling different, and you don't express that. That's not right. You know what I mean? So that's what I learned over the years of just expressing how I feel. If I see something that's not right, I'm quick to call it to the back. Hey, man, look, this is what I see. I'm coming at you right. This is my delivery. This is what I see. I don't care for this. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't mind, make some changes with that. I'm pretty sure that you have some changes that you want to see in me. You have that liberty to tell me too as well. So that's how you kind of strengthen your bond and your marriage. And whenever you give that woman that opportunity to be able to be a part of your decision making. At the end of the day, you make the decision making as the man. But if you let her be a part of that, it's a whole different world. Because it's like, hey, man, I want your opinion on this. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to make this final move without your opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take your opinion and then I'm going to put it together to my logic, and I'll be like, okay, this is the right move for the family, for us, and everything else. So that's what I learned through the whole time, man, is just tackling that goddamn emotion, bro. Because them emotions could have us all over the place and have you wanting things and feeling things that you don't even fucking want. Or you don't even have the desire of wanting to be around, So tackle those emotions, man. Make sure you keep them things in check, man. Because them, they can really mess you up.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Hen?
Um, Something I wish I would have stayed the course with. Some years ago, I would have said, um, when I was in college, I went to college for computer technology, and there were point in times in my life that I wish I would have followed that on through because I might have been in a different place. But you know, hindsight, present day, looking back on it, I think that was something that actually happened for the best because ultimately that wasn't me. I think that was more or less a thing of chasing the bag. And in all honesty, the career path that I took, I kind of like working with my hands. I like the troubleshooting. I like the just the thought process of everything that I did, prior to getting to the corporate side of it is, I guess kind of how I came up with the title for last week's the critical thinking because I had to make a lot of snap judgments off of minimal uh minimal analysis of the things that were going on around me. uh so the computer side of it, had I really went the course of that, I don't think ultimately that would have truly done my life the gave it the fulfillment that I have now. Because now I'm able to, as I talk and the guys that I've gotten working on me now, as I talk to them, I teach them. It's not even a matter of me teaching them and reaching back to teach them these skills. It's more or less like a conversation, like we just shoot crap like we do. But as I'm talking to them, I'm just sharing this stuff, and I can see where they kind of stop and just tune in. Like sometimes I'm talking, like, well, damn, okay, they really pay attention to me, But that's that other side, that fulfillment. I don't think I would have gotten had I stayed the course with the computer, uh, the computer technology. As far as relationships, you
Yeah, I mean,
know,
it didn't really got to be about relationships either. That's what I'm saying. It was just,
okay,
I just wanted to know if there was something that you felt like, you felt like if you could have went, you might have cut it short, and if yeah. So it don't got to necessarily be about relationships. I just want to know if there was something, you know.
oh yeah, yeah, that's probably would have been the main one. But like I said, given present date where I'm at in life, I can't even really say that that's something that I wish I would have stayed the course because ultimately I think I really found my calling more so where I'm at than had I continued down that road.
Right, and I feel the same way. Like I think back on when I was at one of my previous banking jobs, um, and I kind of just quit before I even had anything, um, before I even had another job. Right, it was a situation where I had just started my entrepreneur journey. The district manager, she wasn't real, so she didn't really care about her employees. Right, it was just one of those situations where Um, and it's funny too because come to find out, like a month after I quit, she quit. So it's like if I would have stayed there, she would have quit, and I pretty much probably would have been good, right? But that's how I know I wasn't supposed to stay there, because she ended up leaving a month later. But it was one of those situations where I do kind of look back, and if I would have stayed there, it probably would have been. It's like you said, man. Like I look at where I'm at right now and where I was able to, the things that I've been able to accomplish. Yeah, granted, I definitely took a step back. Well, I can't even say a step back. It was just a part of my path, right? Um, but I needed to go through what I went through to get to where I'm at right now, as far as like, having the high credit score and, some other things under my belt, things like that. So it's like I needed that quote unquote setback to get to where I am. So if I would have never quit that job, I probably would have stayed there and still, who knows? I probably wouldn't, even be where I'm at, when it comes to, financially and things like that. So it's just one of those situations, man. Like things happen as they're supposed to. Um, and you just got to know that, like it's not like I can hold down a gig, I've had jobs where I was in a job for 7 years, jobs where I was there for 4 years, 5 years, you know. Um, so, in lengthy relationships, 5 years, 3 years, lengthy amount of time, but sometimes things run their course. Sometimes things just run their course. And that was a period of time that was just a chapter, right? Like that's not the whole book. That was just a chapter, a part of your life. And because like I said, man, like if things happen as they're supposed to. So if I was supposed to still be at that job, I'd still be at that job. Or I would stay at that job longer. If I was still supposed to be with that woman, I would still be with that woman, you know? Because things happen so I'm reading a book right now, man. The Synchronicity Key. Pretty dope book. It's a long one, but it's pretty dope because it just basically talks about that. You know, Everything is aligned as it's supposed to be. Things happen as they're supposed to. Stuff that you wouldn't think is aligned is aligned. It talks about a lot of different stuff, but yeah, we just gotta know that our life is going to play out as it should. And like you guys said, like if I'm not in that position to be married again just yet, but when I am, I'm definitely gonna make sure that it's gonna be if it's gonna be for a long time. I'm not just gonna get married again and it's just gonna be, in and out. Well, that was it. No. Everything's gonna be on Front Street. We're gonna have a clear understanding, of what we want and how we continue to get how we, plan to get there. Just it's going to be what it's supposed to be, and that's just what it comes down to. So when that time comes, that time's gonna come. It's not something I'm gonna rush. I'm going to, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen, as it's supposed to happen. And when that time arises, I will make sure that I have my A game on. I have everything's going to work out because I'm going to be in that mindset. I'm going to be in that energetic alignment because that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like if the way however you're energetically aligned is going to pan out. Like if I wanted all my relationships to be shit, guess what? They're going to be that because that's the energy that I'm putting out. That's just how it works. So if I'm putting out the energy of, I want this to work, I want whatever, then that's what's going to happen. Because that's where you're energetically aligned, man. So yeah, bro, it's stay in the course, man. You just gotta stay the course, it's one of the most important things. Like I said from the beginning, us as men, it's about standing firm on your word and your balls. Not standing on your ball. Not like with Scarface. You know what I mean? Like I said, he said, the two things I have in this world are my balls and my word, and I don't break them from nobody. And that's important to have to make sure that you stand firm, stand on business. What the youngsters say, stand on business. It's important to make sure you stand on business nowadays. As they say, like I said, stand on business nowadays. But because that's the mark of a man, right? Like that's like you said, just like your first marriage showed you that you could, hey, you know what? I could be a provider. I could be a protector, right? Like you said, a spiritual guy, like because you stood on business, right? Like it might not have worked out in the end, but you learned a lot about yourself and what you're capable of doing. So that's why it's important to stand because you get to figure out who you are. It's gonna help. It's like it's a matter of it's willpower, right? That's another thing, it's about having that willpower. You figure out who you are. That's what's most important in this life is you figuring out and knowing who you are as a person, as a man, as a father, as a husband. You got to be able to do that, So if you can't stand on business, if you can't stick it out, if you can't stay the course, then what kind of man are you? Straight up. So for everybody out there, man, like stay the course because if you can't, like I said, it's gonna show you what kind of man you are, and yeah, it's like we said, it's important to know when to cut them ties, but at the end of the day, if you can look back at yourself and say, you know what, you gave it all that you had, that's what matters. That you gave it your all and it just didn't work. Or you gave it your all and it's continuing to work. That's what
Yeah.
it means to stay the course.
Mhm.
That's what it means, So
And understand too, man, you're not gonna always get that pat on the shoulder. Oh, you're doing a great job.
right.
You're not gonna always get that. So you have to find different ways to, like you said, it is really encouraging yourself that you're doing the right way. Like I said, I was great father, this or that. You tell yourself these things, affirmations, right?
Yep.
Because you're not going to hear it all the time. And
Right.
especially as men, too. We don't get praised a lot, as much as we should. But it does feel good, like I said, it goes back to the emotional thing again, because it's like, it feels good when somebody says, oh man, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work or doing this and that. But what if you don't hear that?
Hmm.
Does that take any or anything from you from what you already doing? No, it doesn't. You just gotta realize, hey man, I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right track. I'm not doing it the way that I used to do it. So that's part of change. You know what I mean? So always just, encourage yourself, man, because a lot of times you're not gonna hear it. And
Right.
don't be upset when you don't hear it,
Right.
because that person might feel it, but they might not be able to just say it at the time, or when you wanted to hear it. A lot of times that's what I used to always look for. I used to look for those pat in the back. Oh, he did this, he did that. And it's like I start realizing, like, man, you just doing what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
like you said, and it goes all the way to the long haul, because you have to be okay with that, man. You have to be okay with not getting that pat on the shoulder saying you're doing a great job. Your own gratitude every day is what you go to the universe with, or whoever you pray to, and get your affirmations over your own life and say, I am this, I am a king, I am a provider, I am this is who I am, right? So that's what I learned to do now, and like I said, I got a poster board of all the stuff that I am to myself. And
Hmm.
if I don't hear it from nobody else, I know I heard it from myself.
Yep. Exactly. 1000%, brothers. 1000%. Man. Anybody else got anything to say before we wrap it up? I think that that's a good talk, man.
Oh, I'm good. I think we did it.
Good talk. Yeah. So, everybody out there, man, especially if you fellas, stay the course, bro. Know when it's time. You know in your heart when it's time. if it's time to cut ties, you know in your heart when it's time. But at the same time, you also know, you know what, I can give a little bit more. Let me give it a little bit more and see what happens because I still have a little bit more in me. But if you emptied out, then you know it's time, man. You know it's time. So we appreciate all continued support. We've been at this for a year now. Shout out to, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
staying the course.
Yes, sir.
That's part of why I wanted to speak on that today because, you know, we stayed the course, man. You know, and I'm proud of all of us. You know, shout out to Complex Key. He ain't here with us today, but like I said, you know, we stayed the course, man. You know, and it's not easy, but you know, we working through different, you know, like I said, sometimes I'm not able to be here, sometimes Jess can't be here, sometimes he can't be, sometimes somebody might not be able to be here. But we we ain't gonna stop. You know what I mean? We gonna keep it going, we gonna keep it moving, we gonna stay the course because that's what we gotta do.
Real talk.
Straight up. You know, so like I said, we appreciate y'all for continuing to you know receive the content, receive what we saying, receive the messages, receiving the gems. And we're just gonna continue to hit you guys with whatever we can. We're gonna have a we got some more, you know, these next few weeks. We got some, you know, we already talked about what we got coming for the next few weeks. So we got some more heat coming for y'all as well in the coming weeks as we never stop. You know, y'all know we never stop anyway, but yeah, so just continue to tap in with us, the YouTube channel, IG page, you know, the podcast. I mean, the Spotify. We doing it, man. So just continue to support, and we just gonna continue to show our appreciation. So, on behalf of Hen, Jay Hunter, it's your boy Mindset, man. We appreciate y'all, Bro Foundation. Peace.
Peace out.
Out.